The skill of keeping promises to yourself. Most people think self-improvement begins when motivation shows up. The truth is that real growth often begins on the ordinary days when you do not feel excited, inspired, or especially confident. A better life is rarely built in one dramatic moment. It is usually built in quiet moments when you decide to follow through on something small. You do not become strong only by chasing big goals. You become strong by proving to yourself that your own word means something. Every time you say, you will wake up earlier, work out, save money, read more, pray more, or stay focused, you are making a promise. And every time you either keep or break that promise, you shape the way you see yourself. That is why self-trust matters so much. Without it, even the best plans feel weak, because deep down, you stop believing in your own commitment. Many people are not lazy in the way they think they are. They are often disappointed because they have repeated the cycle of starting strong and stopping early. At first, they feel excited by possibility. Then life becomes inconvenient, emotions change, and the promise gets pushed aside. After enough broken promises, something subtle happens inside. They begin to doubt not just the goal, but their identity. They start saying things like, I never stick with anything. They say, this is just how I am, when really, that is only the result of a pattern, not a permanent truth. The good news is that self-trust can be rebuilt. It does not require perfection, talent, or some magical new mindset. It requires evidence. And evidence is created through action. If you want to become more confident, do not wait to feel confident first. Do something small that earns confidence. If you want more discipline, do not spend all your time wishing you were disciplined. Keep one promise today, even if it feels tiny. Read 2 pages, walk for 10 minutes, clean one part of your room, turn your phone off for half an hour, drink water before soda. Write down your plan before the day starts. These things seem small, but that is exactly why they matter. Small actions are easier to repeat, and repeated action changes identity. A lot of people sabotage themselves because they only respect dramatic effort. They think if it is not painful, huge, or impressive, it does not count. But the person who does a little every day often goes farther than the person who waits for the perfect burst of energy. Consistency is not flashy, but it is powerful. Think of a brick wall. No single brick looks life-changing on its own. Yet over time, brick by brick, an entire structure appears. Your habits work the same way. One workout will not transform your body. One focused hour will not build your future. One prayer will not instantly fix everything. One early morning will not suddenly make you unstoppable. But repeat those actions long enough, and a new life starts forming around you. The things that once felt difficult begin to feel normal. That is the real goal of self-improvement. It is not to become a different person overnight. It is to become someone who can be counted on by yourself. Someone whose choices line up with their values more and more often. This also means you need to stop using shame as your main strategy. Shame might create intensity for a moment, but it rarely creates lasting discipline. When people fall behind, they often attack themselves mentally. They replay every failure and use harsh self-talk like it is fuel. But constant self-criticism usually drains energy instead of building it. It makes the journey heavier than it needs to be. Honesty is necessary, but honesty without mercy becomes discouragement. You can admit that you have wasted time. You can admit that you have been inconsistent. You can admit that you have made excuses. Then you can stand back up without turning your mistakes into your identity. A bad week does not define your future. A weak moment does not cancel your potential. A setback is information. It is not a life sentence. Maybe your system is too complicated. Maybe your goal is too vague. Maybe your environment keeps pulling you off track. Maybe you are relying too much on emotion and not enough on structure. This is why mature growth is less about hype and more about design. You should not only ask, how do I get more motivated? You should ask, how do I make the right action easier? That question can change everything. Put the book where you will see it. Lay out your gym clothes the night before. Keep junk food farther away. Set one clear time to work instead of vaguely hoping you will get to it. Use reminders. Write goals where your eyes naturally go. Create friction for bad habits. Remove friction for good ones. This does not make you weak. It makes you wise. Successful people are not always those with the strongest emotions. Often, they are the people who build systems that help them do what matters, even when emotions are low. And while systems matter, standards matter too. You need to decide what kind of person you're becoming, not what kind of person you admire from a distance. What kind of person you're choosing to practice being. Maybe you want to be a man or woman of discipline. Then act like that identity is built in moments, not speeches. Maybe you want to be peaceful. Then guard what enters your mind daily. Maybe you want to be healthy? Then stop treating your body like it exists to absorb every careless choice. Maybe you want to be reliable. Then do not casually agree to things you do not plan to honor. A strong life is shaped by repeated alignment. The inside and outside start matching. You say less and do more. You dream, but you also build. You rest, but you do not quit. You fail, but you do not disappear. That is another important lesson. Self-improvement is not about becoming intense for 3 days. It is about becoming steady for years. Steady beats extreme when extreme cannot last. Anyone can have a powerful day. The challenge is learning how to have a faithful month. Anyone can make a bold declaration. The challenge is becoming the kind of person whose life backs it up. So, start smaller than your ego wants, but more consistently than your excuses prefer. Do not worry if the step looks unimpressive to other people. This journey is not about impressing strangers. It is about becoming trustworthy in your own eyes. When you keep enough promises to yourself, something changes. You walk differently, you think differently. You stop begging life to become easier and start becoming stronger. You no longer need to constantly convince yourself that change is possible. You have proof because your actions have been speaking for you. And that is where real confidence is born, not from empty affirmations, but from lived evidence. So today, choose one promise. Make it clear, simple, and real. And then keep it. Not because it solves your whole life in one day, but because it begins rebuilding the relationship you have with yourself. And once that relationship gets stronger, everything else gets stronger too. Your focus gets stronger, your peace gets stronger, your discipline gets stronger, and your future gets stronger. Because in the end, one of the greatest forms of self-improvement is this: becoming a person who can trust themselves when they say, I'm going to do it.